Well, I just wanted to say the nature of doing this approach to the body. I've been continually trying to invite and remind everyone to really be cautious and safe and come out if one needs to and rest if one needs to. But on the other side of that, because there's no other people to sort of disrupt, if you want to stay in something longer, if you're in a place and it's very interesting and your body's starting to really go deeply, please feel free to stay in something as long as you're called to do that. So there's never any problem with that. And then just a couple of other things. We're starting to put, I guess we'll put a link soon to the YouTube where Louis putting these classes on YouTube. So yesterday I did a class, my own class. It was a little strange, but I wanted to tell everyone that my legs are not really this long. My legs just look so long on the video. So they're more about to here, I think, my legs. I'm only like 5'10". So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is a bit of an existential thing. One of the reasons I sort of migrated away from our stricter, more active yogas, the alignment-based yogas, because there's a part of me that just doesn't like anyone to tell me what to do, especially with my body. I like to really just be in these open-ended poses. But there I was in class with myself, telling myself what to do. So it was a little existential there for me. So, okay, I think that's all the silliness I have to share with you. Let's just take a moment and open. So if you'd like to sit up with me, that would be fine. If you're comfortable lying down or resting, we'll just take a moment to just arrive. Even if you're already here, let's begin to arrive. Now the discipline of yoga. Let's just sit for a few more breaths. And the other day in class, in passing, I mentioned the sacred space of the body. So let's just take a moment, and whatever that means for you, as we really begin to bring our awareness closer in, let's just hold that for a few breaths, for a few moments, this imagery that we are working within this sacred space of our physical body. Okay, good. So let's begin. And so those of you without bolsters, we will just make do with blankets and pillows. So if you do have a large bolster, please get it out. And what you also will need is a blanket and a second blanket or a towel. So I think I'll use a towel, yeah. So these three things, and if you don't have a large bolster, just a combination of pillows will work just fine here. We just want to elevate the legs a bit for this. So I'm just going to put the legs over this. Yep. So what we're going to do, and the thing to be most careful about is how you roll up this blanket. So we're going to take the blanket, whatever your blanket is, from a shape of a rectangle and just roll it up. And let me just tell you, my experience this morning when I was doing this exact class that I'm sharing with you, is I rolled my blanket all the way up like this, yeah? And then I came over into a backward bend, and it was just too much. I just felt a bit unsafe, and I started saying to myself, if you stay here, you're going to hurt yourself. So this is in terms of levels in this practice, it's always just what's appropriate for your body in the moment, not what your ego wants you to do or thinks you should do, and certainly not coming to this place where there's a question whether you're going to injure or feel unsafe. So I just got up and I unrolled the blanket to about here for my particular tension in my lower back. So roll this blanket appropriately. We're going to put it in the lumbar area. And then the second blanket that you have, or your towel, I'll show you how this is going to look for the head. I rolled this one up maybe to about here. Yeah. So those two things, this is going to go for the head. You can see that. So the large bolster is just meant to put under the knees, so we can, like I said, to elevate the leg bones, yeah? So the hips can relax, yeah? And then we're going to initially keep the feet on the floor, keep the buttocks on the floor, just roll over this blanket, which is being placed horizontally, yeah, hip to hip, under the lumbar. And then if the buttocks comes up a little bit, mine did, snuggle it back down. And then just determine, take a moment and just really feel, is this okay? Is this accessible over several minutes, or do you feel a bit unsafe? If you do, just unroll it a bit more. And then for the neck, I want to make sure that when you bring the rolled blanket or towel under the neck, the chin is up above the forehead. So if you can see this, if I just have the back of my head on the floor, my chin is down below my forehead, not compatible with the cervical spine. So what I'm suggesting is to really bring something supportive under the neck, not at the back of the head. So the chin elevates above the forehead and it's very supportive. Little compression, but it's more for the support. My head is just, back of my head is just barely off the floor. This is lovely. I've got the compression in my lumbar spine. My buttocks are on the floor. The bigger bolster or your pillows are under your knees, and then just relax. And if you'd like to take another blanket and cover you, make sure you're warm. There's no draft, so you're going to be a little chilly, because indeed we will be here for some time. So a roll under the neck, chin a little bit above the forehead. Want it to feel relatively comfortable. The roll of the blanket under the lumbar spine with the buttocks on the floor. The compression such in the lower back so it's accessible and you have no feeling of being unsafe or injury. And the legs just elevated a bit. I'd just like to open with a short reading from the Wahoo Jing. This is a text in the lineage of Lao Tzu. It may even be by Lao Tzu. It is by Lao Tzu, yes. So just continue to snuggle in and make any adjustments you need and relax. Just as the world can reveal itself as particles, the Tao can reveal itself as human beings. Though world and particles aren't the same, neither are they different. Though the cosmic body and your body aren't the same, neither are they different. Worlds and particles, bodies and beings, time and space, all are transient expressions of the Tao. Unseeable, ungraspable, the Tao is beyond any attempt to analyze or categorize it. At the same time, its truth is everywhere you turn. If you let go of it with your mind and surround it with your heart, it will live inside you forever. So the more that we enter into this approach to the body and mind, just very, very slowly and very, very consciously, we also explore the subtlety of our breathing and how just the quality and the energy of the breath itself has unlimited capacity for us to explore and to feel. So I would like to encourage us to start to slow down the breathing, but also to approach the breath almost as if it's a prayer, or almost as if it's a mantra as we breathe in. And this would be a wordless prayer, obviously, a wordless mantra, but we're just approaching the breath with this great reverence and sensitivity. And so slowing down the breath also can entail a deepening of it. So bring your inhale in a little longer and a little deeper and a little slower. And let your exhale again move out of the body just very, almost in a sensual way. So you're feeling a ripple down the torso and into the pelvic floor. And almost as if, when we settle into the pose, oftentimes any tension that we're feeling will quicken the breath a bit. So if we are breathing at, let's just say, I'm just throwing a number out at 8 to 10 or 12 breaths a minute, let's try to slow that down to 7 or 6 or 5 breaths a minute. You don't have to force this, but just as you relax and lengthen and deepen, the breath will just naturally slow down. And one of I would say the consequences and also a benefit as we slow the breath down, the the pulsation of your heart is also starting to entrain by slowing down, but also the different stages of your brain waves. So from the beta waves that are awake and alert, as we start to slow the heart rate and the breath down, we move into the alpha waves, which are still awake but relaxed. And then if we continue to slow the breath and slow the heartbeat, these brain waves slow to the theta waves. And the theta waves are just simply this transitional place before we fall asleep, often called the hypnagogic state. So you're in between. And so at this point, then we're just so relaxed, we don't even have to keep slowing the breath. It just has naturally slowed. So just allow your body to receive any compression that it's feeling, very receptive. Let your physical body just naturally relax. And then just slowing and deepening and lengthening the breath so the corresponding systems of brain waves and heartbeat come into a very relaxed and open-ended resting place. And by deepening the breath, it's not simply lengthening it, also just a feeling of the breath actually seeping into the texture of your body, the fabric of your body. So this is a lovely place to explore, especially when we walk around so much feeling that this body is very, very solid and dense. So the deepening is allowing the breath to just seep into this density with great gentleness. We're not using a directed breath to push or force, just this feeling. It's almost a feel. The imagery that I love very much is water pouring into water. And then just please just take a little moment, take a bit of time to just appreciate how, really, I can try to put all these lovely words to the breath and the body, but really and truly, it's not describable, and it's incredibly multidimensional. This is very mysterious that we breathe, and how dependent the body's deepest functioning is on this oxygen. So just take a moment and appreciate that this is not just simply a mechanical process. This is an indescribable and a multidimensional process. And we can be just very grateful that we have this gift of breathing. So I'd like to release from this a bit, nice and slowly. So if you can, I think it's best first to take the roll out from under the neck carefully and let the head relax down, so we're not trying to release lumbar and cervical at the same time. So if you could just let the head go to the back of the floor, and then just kind of wiggle a little bit, sway a little bit, try not to move abruptly. And then if you have the pillows or the big bolster under the knees, you may want to put the feet flat on the floor. And you can roll off of this. Sometimes whatever the lower back is holding, it's better to roll. If you're able to just elevate the hips a bit and slip the blanket out, you could do that. And then we'll just lie flat. So I also like you to take anything out from under the knees, so the chi can just really open and distribute through the body. We'll take a bit of rest before we move on. And lying flat for now is good, just so the joints can open, and this, any compression that the body receive from this can disperse a bit. So let us come on up, please. And we're going to come forward. One of the things I just want to share, if you're feeling, we're going to come forward initially with the legs open, but this goes for most of our forward bends. So there's a few things that will restrict forward bends in general. Obviously, one is the tension that you may be holding in the intrinsic muscles of the lower back. So some of the tension is certainly back here when you're coming forward. Yes, it's restricted, but also some of it will happen from the pelvis tilting back. Yeah, and that's a longer story. So if the pelvis is tilting back, this will restrict us coming forward. So if you're feeling that, you can always take a blanket and sit up on the edge of it. So you're coming forward a bit. If you see that this is helping my pelvis to tilt forward a bit, don't sit up on it straight like this, because then you're just bringing the pelvis back to where it will be tilting. So we're sitting on the edge of it. If you feel this is helpful, so yes. So then now my pelvis is tilting forward a bit. When I soften into the forward bend, it can be helpful. So with that being said, let's open the legs out to, fairly wide in terms of your range of motion. For the very first one, I try to recommend not to go to the edge of your range of motion. So this will now tighten my hip flexors a bit. So if I went here to do this, I'd want to come in maybe 2 or 3 inches, just so the hip flexors can relax a bit. Yeah, check in with how my pelvis is feeling. And then coming forward, yeah, a little bit of round in the lower back. And then if you're feeling the resistance someplace between here and the floor for your arms or your forearms, and you want some support, you always feel free to use your bolstering or your pillows or your blankets, just so you don't allow too much of this torso weight to go in too deeply too quickly. Yeah, once you get to the place where the body starts to tug and resist and contract and give you some messages of discomfort, it's always best to slow down and sometimes even stop there and then patiently wait for an invitation from the body. The body may invite you to go deeper. You may slide deeper and come into it. The body may invite you to withdraw a and rearrange, maybe even reconsider the shape. So slow is better. This is why we take the time, because we're trying to follow the cues of the body, not my cues. My cues are just to show you a basic template, and then let your body soften into that template. And so as you're settling in, I just want to bring something to your attention, because this is so fundamental to our study of our relationship to our body, but also our relationship to our mind, to our life, to our relationships. And we can study this and contemplate this and allow it to ripple out as far as we are able to. So especially now, we can sort of isolate this as we're coming into a position where there may be, for most of us, I would say, some form of discomfort. Let's just say at the level of physical sensation, there is some form of discomfort. So what I'm going to suggest is that at the level of the sensation, that this is neutral, and the discomfort is being received from the resistance. This is why we cultivate as much relaxation into the body as possible. If we're pushing, if we're distracted, if we have an agenda, if we're trying to fix something, we're going to miss this completely. This is incredibly subtle and sensitive. That whatever you're feeling at the level of somatic sensation is neutral. The discomfort you're experiencing is resistance to that sensation. And I do understand this is a challenging pill to swallow, what I'm saying. But at some level, the choice is, do we take the red pill and go back to sleep and just project and blame our discomfort on everything external? Or do we take the blue pill and take out our magnifying glass and examine the deepest nature and texture of what this sensation is, and see if we can relax into its neutrality and see what it is we may be projecting on, what our relationship may be to this discomfort. And as I'm suggesting, not simply physical. This goes for our emotional relationships, I would even say our belief systems. So can you just feel the raw sensation and then notice your tendency to react to it? What is the nature and where does this reaction come from? Good. So let's come on up from here and just bring the legs in a bit, maybe sway or wobble a little bit. And I'm just assuming that everyone saw The Matrix with my blue pill, red pill reference. If you haven't, good to watch it. And then let's take the left leg and bring it in. I want to continue this forward bend and take the right leg and the right foot. And if you can put it up on that right calf. So we're just in a nice square position. If this is not accessible to you and this is too much for the knee or knees, then just put a towel or a blanket in front of you and open that leg out. So we'll have the left leg just parallel to the body bent in front of you, the right leg either up onto the left calf or onto a blanket. And then you can open it up a bit. So just make it work for you. And then the same thing on the forward bend. If you are sitting on the edge of something to tilt the pelvis, that's fine. But here, even more so, we want to relax the muscles of the lower back. You know, we really want to feel as if it is almost a total. I know that's not possible, but as much unengagement as the muscles. So forego any stretching or pushing or pressing, and just relax into all of these threads and these pathways and these densities. Always feel free to use whatever support you need up front, pillows, blankets, bolsters, whatever works, and just slip into these raw sensations. And, you know, even though you're in, you know, the privacy of your own home, and it may seem that the distractions that come and go are, you know, are possibly more available to you, you know, obviously do, you know, follow the needs of your body, but just explore that, you know, at its essence, what a distraction is, and certainly I'm generalizing, but in this practice, for the most part, what we're looking at a distraction as a movement away from this raw sensation. As the discomfort starts to intensify, instead of being able to stay with its presence, to see the nature of this resistance that I'm suggesting, the mind comes up with a strategy to move away from it. Oh, I have to adjust, I have to itch something, I have to fix this, it's endless. So the stillness is for you to explore this. The stillness is for you to get closer and closer to this sensation and see this dynamic, explore this dynamic. Is something inherent in this sensation that is uncomfortable? Or is there a resistance to simply relaxing into the texture and the spaciousness of it? So give yourself this gift. These are relatively short minutes that you're holding this container for you to explore a very powerful dynamic. And one of the things that you can always bring into this exploration, because oftentimes we can see the urge to distract, it's there, it's a strategy, it's a habit, is go back to slowing down the breath. Go back to this imagery of allowing the breath to seep into the density, the raw sensation. And to put it very simply, why am I uncomfortable psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually? I'm uncomfortable because I'm not okay with what is. I'm resisting what is. Such a beautiful, open-ended contemplation. So let's come on up and just feel the movement of the spine as we unfold. So nice to sometimes really just connect that sacral spine and up through the mid and up to the neck and the shoulders. So we're just rolling up slowly. Let's open the legs out and let's just lie down and we'll take a rest. And if we really do want to, investigate this energy of resistance, what we can begin to do is just start to feel yourself as spacious awareness. So this is not so challenging to do. This is not esoteric. You know that you are aware. You can feel this awareness to be, unlimited, really. We can be aware right now of the stars. We can be aware of the wind. You can be aware of that little crick in your neck. You can be aware of your breathing. Your awareness is spaciousness. So if we can shift our identity, really, to this spacious awareness, and then whatever arises in that spacious awareness, if a tightness in the lower back arises, not to resist it. If an uncomfortable feeling, an emotion arises, not to resist it. If an obsessive, repetitive, uncomfortable thought arises, it's all arising in this spacious awareness. And please do not take this as theory. Allow yourself to feel this. Allow yourself to move from the knowledge and the information that you're holding in a I want to say habitual way, but it's very personal, the way that we hold all the information and knowledge in our left brain, our left hemisphere. So as we relax that and we allow the opening of the right hemisphere, this is very apparent to the right hemisphere of this spacious awareness. And then whatever arises within it, allow it to arise, explore it, but also allow it to pass. And certainly, if you're not clear, and I do understand, sometimes the language can pulse in and out of clarity, because we are pulsing between left hemisphere and right hemisphere. So not to worry. What we're really cultivating, and this goes back to what I was saying about holding ourselves as a sacred space, is just be incredibly curious. This is not about gathering more information or gathering more of anything. It's about sitting with yourself with just incredible curiosity. So just like a posture may evoke something that you're open to exploring, if something that I say evokes something for exploration, then fine. If not, just keep bringing it all in. Just keep that quality of radical curiosity open. Einstein called it holy curiosity. Okay, so please let's come on up. And I want to show this next thing. I'm going to show it first on these pillows, because I know not everyone has the the bolstering. And it may seem like these pillows, as I'm showing you here, are much higher than the pillows are higher than this bolster, but this has a firmness to it, and these will sink down. So I've just chosen these two particular pillows to demonstrate. Just work with what you have. And then something, if you don't have a small bolster, could be good for the head, or we could use another pillow there. Yeah. So I just want to be clear with this particular setup with what we're doing. We're going to place the shoulders on this. Yeah. So the shoulders here. So my mid-back is supported a little bit more than it would be with the bolster, but no worries. And this might be a good height for you. You may want to come up a little bit more on this. So then I could add, let's say I add this another blanket to it. Yeah, so I'm putting the shoulders on this, and I'll show it on the bolster too, so it'll make more sense. And then what I would like you to do is be able to relax your head back. So if just relaxing the head back like this is going to feel unsafe and pinch, that's when you can support it with a pillow. Yep. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So I've got my shoulders elevated, my shoulders supported, my head supported and safe. So once you're here, what we're going to do is we're going to work into the shoulders by allowing the arms to float back. And you could just let them float back like I have them here open. You could interlock the fingers loosely like this. You could press the palms up to the ceiling, anything that works. Just be aware that the tendency is to bend the elbows, and then they'll come back, and this relieves all the stress and tension that we want from the shoulders. If you can just start with the elbows straight and let the arms drift back, after time they may want to bend a little bit, but use the weight of the arms to just kind of pull in. Works pretty good with the pillows. And then if you have the bolsters, pretty much the same. But if you're working with the pillows, maybe watch this, it'll give you a frame of reference. So just my shoulders, yeah, my shoulders are on here, as you see, shoulders on the big bolster. And then the same thing, if this is not good for your neck, put your other bolster under, or a combination with a towel or a blanket. And then the same thing, the arms are just gonna, just feel that their weight, these are like two long fleshy sandbags that are pulling into the shoulder girdle, rotator cuff. The more you straighten the elbows, you'll feel it. You'll just feel it in lots of different places. Good. And then also feel free that if it becomes too intense or unsafe, go ahead and withdraw them for a bit. Rest them on your chest, on the sides. Breathe, let the shoulders relax, let your body know it's safe. And then again, use the weight to explore if you're holding any tension in the neck and the shoulders and the jaw. If you're not holding any tension in the neck and the shoulders and the jaw, then please let me know what planet you're living on, because it's certainly not this one. I was thinking about this, speaking of, just tension being inherent in being, just in a human body, because it's a little bit tricky. See, this is the beautiful thing about the exploration of yoga, and really settling into a deep contemplative place without any interference, because it's a bit tricky. Because what's very interesting is that our senses are set up to create a duality. This is how we function. Yes, our eyes need to see blue and red and green. Our hearing needs to hear yes and no. Our sense of touch needs to feel hot and cold. These are all dualistic parameters. But when we slow the senses down, when we withdraw from the senses, if you will, this is in yoga, we call this pratyahara, we come into this inner world, this duality takes on a whole different flavor. And this is the exploration of yoga. The exploration of yoga is identifying ourselves as this spacious awareness. And if we're spending all of our time projecting outward into duality, we first have to see that we're in this dualistic trap before we can start to free ourselves from it. And so then the senses become just an effective, useful tool, not this trap of I'm in this, either or a kind of world. So the invitation in a yoga posture is to relax to the point where this spacious awareness that we are becomes real. And then we explore the whatever arises, we explore. Also, you can do one arm at a time if that feels appropriate. And at this point, if you would like to shift a bit lower, and what I mean by that is bring your body back towards your head so the bolster will come a little lower from shoulder into maybe mid spine or so. It kind of gauges that. That's just an option. If you're in a good place right here with the shoulder supported, the arms back, do as you will. If you want to take this into a little bit more of the thoracic area, you could certainly do that. Just so make an adjustment here if you need or you would like one. And this exploration, goes back to what I was saying about the importance of relaxation, of slowing down, the relationship between the breath slowing down, the heart rate slowing down, and the various brain waves slowing down. Because this exploration that I'm talking about of dualistic consciousness, we cannot make it from the left hemisphere. We can gather information from the left hemisphere, but the left hemisphere has boundaries by necessity. These are good to have. So from the place of relaxation, from the place of creative visualization, from the place of this open spaciousness, the right hemisphere has no boundaries. So it's not something we understand, it's something we intuit. So we prepare, yes, we have our practices, we have our philosophies, we have our belief systems in our left hemisphere. But as we relax and transition and deepen and open into the right hemisphere, those are no longer necessary. This is the wisdom of life itself. This is the wisdom that's embedded within your cells that then begins to reveal and become your teacher. So from here, wherever you are, I would just like to, if you'd like to just stay where you are, if this is good for your shoulders a little longer, you can. But before we come out of this fully, whether you're still on your shoulders, you're a little bit more in the mid back, what I would like to suggest is to put your feet on the floor and just roll over to your left side. And the pillows that you have or the bolster that you have will just be pressing on the broadness of the left rib cage. So relax here and then take the right arm and just bring it up and over. So again, the shoulders, but this is a lovely expanding of the rib cage. So the more we can open these intercostal muscles and the respiratory diaphragm, this certainly aids in our our lung capacity, but also it helps to slow down the breathing. So just to kind of feel this, this is also a nice way to laterally flex the mid spine, which can be something we don't do very often and can be quite challenging. And please feel free. I just my habit from teaching in person, I'm not prone to moaning and groaning, but I could just mute myself, and this is just where you just want to go, oh, I don't know, it's just so like, the stretching of these muscles that we often don't stretch can just be so so lovely. And then if you want to go to the other side, that would be good too. So we'll kind of roll back through the back to your shoulders or your mid back, and then just roll now to the right side, and then obviously the left arm would go up and over. Good. So you can then just keep rolling off of this. So whatever side you're on, wherever you are, just roll off of this and just come to your side and just curl into a fetal position. You may want to have a little something under your head for your neck, but we'll just take a little moment here, really just to pull the shoulders back in towards the hips to get a little bit of a forward bend here. We're going to do the other side of that forward bending. So just curl up and and it does take often, I'm really speaking more from my own experience, because my exploration of yin has not just been in the realm of the asana and the physical. It's how to slow down enough moment to moment to explore these things. So my experience has been that I need to slow down to see that what's arising, whether it's a feeling of discomfort physically or emotionally, is not the thing. The thing is the resistance that is habitually wanting to be projected onto it. So this practice is intentionally meant to allow us to slow down. So we're able to creatively respond to whatever's in our environment instead of reacting. And this is unique and personal to you, depending on the momentum that you carry and the way that you react to life, react to your body, react to your heart, and that gap of then how to slow down and respond to life, creatively respond to your body, and creatively respond to your psyche and heart. Good. So let's come on up, please. So if you remember that forward bend we did before the shoulder opener, we did the square position forward. No. No, we didn't. We opened the legs out and came forward and then came up and did the square pose. Yeah. So that's, see, the thing is, seeing myself is tricking me, because it's like, why are you telling me what to do? No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to reverse it. Yeah. So instead of starting with the legs open, let's bring the right leg in, and then the left foot will come onto that right calf. Or again, if this is a little too tight or not accessible, we'll open it up. So the left foot will then be in front. Yeah. And then when we're done with this, we'll just open into that nice wide straddle, and we'll come to it. So we're just reversing it so we don't get too, too used to this idea of symmetry, which does not exist within the body. Good. So let's come forward. Again, relaxing, slowing down. We're not trying to fix anything. As a matter of fact, we're trying to explore our relationship to needing to fix things so habitually, maybe even addictively. So nothing to fix, but just to feel, to let your body express itself, to allow yourself to rest in a place of open spaciousness. And if we sincerely want to explore these benefits that I'm talking about slowing down, to explore our process, to gather a different layer of information about ourselves, then without exception, we start by slowing down the breath. It's very convenient, and it's it's a type of unconsciousness, because the breath is so automatic, that we feel the breath is somehow secondary to our experience, secondary to our thought process, to our feeling process, to our sensory process. But it's not. We are the breath. You cannot think without the breath. You cannot feel without the breath. You would not be in a functioning body without the breath. I don't even want to say it's interwoven. It's, the breath is indistinguishable from any way that you can feel or identify yourself. So by genuinely starting to alter these breathing patterns, by slowing the breath, and feeling the breath, the depth and the presence of the breath, this then gives you options and information to slow down the rest of the processes, to just see what's really happening. This is what I was saying. Before we can free ourselves from this dualistic trap, we first need to see that we're in it. And this is what yoga is inviting us, is just to see what is the nature of your reality. So let us drift up from here. And let's now go to that legs wide open. And so this time around, you may want to go a little wider if the hips have softened or feel a little bit more accessible, but not necessary. Obviously, just pick something within an acceptable range of motion for you, and use whatever. I think I showed it with the pillows before. Oh no, I showed it with this. So anything works. It's very simple. It's just to support the body weight. Do attempt to relax the neck and the shoulders here. So oftentimes when we're holding the head a bit, especially if there's discomfort in the strands of the neck, it's something that is also being held lower down. So if we're resisting that, we're only going to hold it in place over time. Even if you just go in a bit and feel it and explore it and then come back out so you feel safe. At some point, really we relax into this, domain of the soma, where the thinking, the feeling, the sensations are really indistinguishable. It's this very kind of open-ended, almost a vibratory feeling, a tingling feeling that we don't have to disturb. almost, the comparison, or maybe not so much a comparison, but a corollary would be at some point that, life and love and meditation are indistinguishable. And this is what it can be incredibly valuable: the yin, the right hemisphere, the feminine, the open-endedness, our willingness to be very honest with what and how much we don't know. This takes us into a whole different realm. So moving out of the boundaries of the left and into the boundaryless of the right. It's just a very beautiful, ongoing, personal exploration. Life, love, and meditation become indistinguishable. Good. So let us come on up, please, from this lovely forward bend, and you can then bring your legs together, and let's lie down and we'll take another rest. I like to, explore the parameters really of what healing actually means, because I think just culturally we have confused fixing things with healing things, and this is a very a deep rabbit hole to talk about. But I think one of the primary places the exploration begins is we often forget that the physical body is not this just inert physicality separate from everything else, that everything that we've ever experienced, our entire mental and biological history, our emotions and our psychology and our traumas are being held within this fabric of the body. And so to start to not just understand this, but to start to feel this, to become sensitive enough to feel that, oh yes, that place of resistance, that place of density, that raw sensation I was saying earlier has just a complexity of my life embedded within it. And most of us develop ways and habits to not go so close to this, yes? So when we suppress something, we're not simply suppressing that particular thing that arises that's maybe we're not ready to look at. We're inhibiting, we're stifling the life force itself, because we're not separate in any way from the life force. So this is an open-ended way to explore, because sometimes it is very appropriate. We want to fix something. We have many modalities for that. But oftentimes how and when we open up a healing process depends on this sensitivity, depends on our habits of suppression, depends on how we can go into this raw sensation and be patient and gentle and kind with it, and really learn that it has a language that may not be initially accessible to us. And we need to be respectful and patient to learn the language of the soma, of the body that is a merging of our life force and all of the energies that we tend to separate. At some level, they're not separate. So let's come on, please. And I would like to give you a choice here. I'm going to show a sitting yin twist, which we don't often do. Well, no, that's not true. I do it quite often, but it's not so typical to be able to have a yin twist sitting. Often we lie down doing a reclining twist. If you would like to do a reclining twist instead of what I'm going to show, then feel free to do whatever reclining twist seems to work best for you. Yeah, there's just the different ones that you could do. I won't go through all of them. Yeah, I'm going to show something different. But in between, what we're going to do, we'll do one side of either the reclining twist of your choice or the sitting reclining twist I'm going to show. But in between, I'd like to come into a forward bend in the form of bringing the legs up over. If this is something that is not quite accessible to you, then what I will invite you to do to go so deep, because it's incredibly valuable. What I'm going to show is incredibly valuable for just the systems of the body in terms of compressing the digestive system, the respiratory diaphragm up into the heart, just the whole throat area. This compression is extremely valuable, and the entire endocrine system. So the deeper we can go, the better. But for support, what you can do is you can bring your pelvis up on something like this or the big bolster. And as you can see now, this is much easier to do. Yeah, so I can just bring my legs up. So even if you could just come to here, this is the beginning of it. You started the compression. Yeah, and ideally what we're doing is, if you don't need the support, we're just simply going to bring the knees up. You could even come here and hold the back of the hips, yeah, so for support, or if you're able to come all the way up and deep and bring the legs down on either side of the head. So that would be in between. So if you're going to do a reclining twist, go to the left side. If you'd like to follow this sitting twist, then let the left leg extend out in front of you and take the right leg and bring it up and over that left leg and take that right foot and just a little bit towards the back hip. Yeah, so don't pull it tight. Just we want to get some internal rotation on this right hip. And then you will take some kind of bolstering, so many things to choose from now, and put it over on the left side. So we have the left leg extended out, the right leg up and over with the right foot back towards the hip, the buttocks, and then something to the left here. Yeah, bolster, blankets, pillow. And then just gently start to twist to the left. You don't have to pull or force it, but just try to elongate the spine, bring the upper body to the left. And then once you have that, then come over towards your bolstering, come over to the left side. So obviously there's a lot more going on than just a twist here, but this is a good thing. Try to relax the head and the shoulders and just soften into it. And if you're in a reclining twist of your choice, just enjoy it. And don't be so concerned if the twist doesn't go so deep, or just the moving towards it is, we're always just going to where our range of motion allows, and then a little bit of exploration. And let me just go back to that for a moment, because it's such an incredibly beautiful contemplation. What I was saying is that when we suppress something, and I'm not just talking about something physical, it could be a gesture, it could be a movement. And sometimes it's conscious and we hold back and we're suppressing it for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's unconscious. But so this is the contemplation. Whenever we suppress this movement, this gesture, this feeling, we're also suppressing the life force itself. So this is something that we just sit quietly with. We don't need to dissect it. Is it true or not true? We just allow ourselves to contemplate. So if you're in the sitting position and you're off to the left, it can be a little tricky to come out of a twist directly. I think it's safer to bring your spine forward so the head is over that left knee, and then roll up from here. And if you're in the reclining twist, you can just bring your legs up and straighten them out. And then just find any way you can, once the legs straighten out. I showed it with the pillows. I'll also show it support, and I showed it without the pillows. If you have a bolster, a nice way to come into this, in yin we call this the snail pose. Yeah, so what we would do then is just start to bring the knees up to whatever your capacity is. One thing that's nice about the bolster is you can hold on to it and bring the knees up even more. Yeah, so the knees are coming towards the chest. And even this is just a good start. So we just want to compress this, like I said, the entirety of the endocrine system, the amygdala, the thyroid, just so lovely for metabolism, thyroid health, all of the systems. Or if you can come all the way up and over. And just a little bit of air is all that's necessary. Do make sure you don't straighten the legs out. This will then lengthen those back muscles, not what we're doing. Bend the knees as much as you can to round and try to soften those back muscles and really just pull in. And just as much as you're able to, keep breathing. It's okay to feel choked and constricted. Powerful for the digestive system, the organs of the torso, the respiratory diaphragm compressing into the physical organ of the heart, up into the throat, into the pineal gland. Good. So let's release out of this. So we'll just bring the legs back down. And this is just something that I just highly recommend on a daily basis. I won't go into all the benefits of it again, but it's just very, very powerful just for your overall sense of health and well-being. Good. So let us sit up. And again, your choice, if you'd like to do a reclining twist of your choice, feel free. This time we'll do the right leg extended out and the left leg up and over. And again, we're just gently bringing it a little bit towards that, that right hip. And then you would take your bolstering and put it on the right side, obviously this side, so you can rest the body weight on it. But before you come over to the right, just take a moment to elongate a bit, relax the shoulders, lengthen the spine. So just a little spacing between the vertebra, and then twist to the right. And then once you reach that tugging, then come down and over. Relax the neck, the head as much as possible. Find your support, either the bolster or the floor, and just relax into it. So again, if you're over to the right, it's better to just come back and let the spine straighten for a moment and neutralize. If you're on the floor and reclining, you can bring the knees back over. And then once you, if you're sitting, brought the upper body back, just come on up and just relax the, let's take that left leg and straighten it out. Good. So we're gonna set something up before we lie down. We're gonna actually go back to where we started from. But what I'm gonna add to that, like I told you in the beginning, we rolled up a blanket and put it under the lumbar. Yeah. So, and what I described was I rolled my blanket all the way up. It didn't feel safe, and I unrolled it to a better position. What happened when I came here to repeat it, that things had opened up enough to allow me to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to suggest that if you're able to roll your blanket up a little bit more to get more of a lumbar. The first time we did it, we were just really trying to find this equilibrium between sort of support, compression, and more relaxation. This time we're after a little bit more compression. So as you can see, if you can see, I'd roll my blanket up significantly more. Yep, so we'll have that. I had something for the neck, a smaller roll, another blanket or a towel to bring that chin up above the forehead. And then I was suggesting to put the legs up. So this time around, yes or no with putting the legs up? I kind of like it because it relaxes the hip flexors and allows that sort of psoas lumbar area to open with additional compression. So your choice whether you elevate the legs with your pillows or your bolster. And then again, put the feet flat on the floor. You can't see it, but my feet are flat on the floor before you relax them. So you can really support everything going down. If the buttocks comes up when you lie down, snuggle down a little bit, get it on the floor. Oh yeah, see, so now I can tolerate this. Of course, this is the third time I've done it. Oh, and then relax the legs. Place the roll under the neck, please. So again, the chin is a little above the forehead. Again, not the back of the head. Sometimes we just don't pay attention to this. Putting something at the back of the head at this point will tuck the chin down. Not so good for what we want in the cervical spine. Tuck it under so it's supported. And you could even go a little deeper with this as well. Make sure really the buttocks can relax on the floor. And if indeed this is too deep, unroll it, come to a place that's appropriate. And of course, what I mean by appropriate is that you can stay here safely, relax, slow your breathing, slow your heartbeat, let the brain waves move into this transitional place and just feel and receive and accept the compression. So the depth being appropriate is totally unique to your experience. And we are breathing as if it is a prayer, as if the breath is a mantra. Gently lengthening it, consciously allowing it to slow, and visualizing that the breath is gently and intimately weaving into the fibers and the threads of your physicality. Again, from the Wahoo Jing. Subtle awareness of the truth of the universe should not be regarded as an achievement. To think in terms of achieving it is to place it outside your own nature. This is erroneous and misleading. Your nature and the integral nature of the universe are one and the same, indescribable, but eternally present. Simply open yourself to this. The other day in class, I just mentioned in passing, I just presented this inquiry, but I did it rather quickly. And in passing, the inquiry was, where do you experience yourself? And so I'd like to come back to that inquiry, because I think we need to really relax into it. This is not an intellectual inquiry. This is an inquiry of layer upon layer, because many things can arise that want to go right to the, answering this inquiry. Where do you experience yourself? So if we're willing to slow down, then whatever arises, whether it's our self seems to be a relationship, or a collection of feelings and thoughts, or even something subtler, even a elevated state of mystical experience, we want to be able to hold that, go into it honestly, and see, is that where my sense of self is? And we're doing it for no gain, for no, not to come up with anything solid, but just for the sake of the inquiry. Where do I experience my sense of self? And my only guidance really with this exploration is to go back to this, this spacious awareness. So we can begin there. This is the container, really. Well, the container is not the right word because it has no boundaries. But to go back to have this quality of spacious awareness, and then what arises in this spacious awareness is this where I find myself? Is this, let it all be worthy of this exploration. Go right into the depth of it. Go as deep as you can, get as close as you can to what arises. So let's take this breath that has slowed down considerably, and on the inhale breath, just intuitively weave it into your lower belly, weave it into your digestive area, and just feel for any subtle tension that might be woven in that may not and probably doesn't have an anatomical holding, a density, but it's more energetic. So especially on the inhale, breathe into this lower belly, this digestive area, and just feel if there's anything, any anxiety or any tension that's humming there. And on the exhalation, just let it soften out a bit. Do this as gently as you possibly can. And this leans into areas that are, very, very hard to put into imagery because I'm suggesting it's not even so much tension in the soft tissue or even uh, the anatomical components. It's much, in a way, it's more energetic. So we kind of have to let go of our image of what this area is and just feel it. And so the breath then just becomes um, a gentle wind that allows us to make a connection. The connection may not be linear. It's usually not linear, but we can feel something. And so go as deep as you can into the depth of your feeling. On the inhalation, the exhalation, again, just let that soften. And then let's please remove the first, the roll from the neck. Just slip it away.
And then let's put the feet on the floor and just roll off to your side. Either side will do. So just roll onto your side. Well, you don't even have to come off the bolster or what you have, but you can. So I just would want to bring you into a forward bend on your side in fetal position. So just come into fetal position here, relax for a moment. Just kind of tuck everything in. And then just push yourself up nice and slowly. And as you come up, bring the soles of your feet together. We're moving slowly because we didn't take a long rest from that backward bend because we're just going to unwind it with this. And either unsupported, but I want to move slowly into this area, or if you would like to put something under your knees. So again, just be careful and go slow because we're coming out of that sort of energetic holding of the backward bend, not just energetic, the anatomical holding of the backward bend. And we're going to come forward now. So you can put something under the knees, just takes a lot of compression out of the hips and the knees, or not, just bring the soles of the feet together, but go slowly so you kind of feel what I'm talking about is like, oh yeah, there is that backward bend. So let it unwind. Don't go past it as deep as you think you could or should go. And just relax here into this this forward bend. Just sink into it.
When I first woke up this morning, the very first thing every morning, I say, good morning, life. Thank you, life. And then the very first thing that came to me was, it is very important to be happy for no reason. And everything in my system relaxed. And it was the sort of this little morning gift of great simplicity, but also the real essence of our yoga is to find that place. And within us, we don't have to go looking for it. That's the whole point. That if we have a collection of things that make us unhappy, and we have a collection of things that make us happy, we're very susceptible to going between the two. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. So what the yoga is suggesting is find that place within you that you can be happy for no reason. Then the things that make you happy, let them make you happier. Things that make you unhappy, explore why they make you unhappy. And this is the, other ways to say this are equanimity or inner peace, consciousness, awareness, and just this inherent aliveness. So to be able to uncomplicate, pare down our experience to just this contemplation that, can I simply be happy and content for no reason? So I've been just sort of shifting the ending of class just because of our new structure here. And instead of extending a Shavasana, realizing that you can do Shavasana, or you may have already been in Shavasana. So I'm just inviting you to either stay, well, first inviting you to come out of the pose. I wouldn't want to turn off the computer and keep you in the pose and then come back on Wednesday and you're still in the forward bend. So let's come out of the pose first, please. If you would like, and if you'd like to sit with me and close, this is where we'll go. If you would prefer to come into your own Shavasana, if you're already there and would like to stay there, please feel free. We don't have the constraints of having to do this all together. So I'm just going to sit with you for a moment and close our contemplation. At some point, life, love, and meditation become indistinguishable. Namaste.